James Hetfield, he's the explorer-wielding frontman of Metallica, he's written some of the greatest heavy metal riffs of all time, and he's one of my favorite guitar players. Today I'm going to be building a replica of one of Papa Het's explorers, Rusty. Be sure to click the subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified every Thursday when a new episode drops. This is Trash to Thrash. For more than 20 years I've been obsessed with guitars. From playing them, to working on them, to buying and collecting them, I've built quite the collection of awesome custom guitars. This season, I'll be rebuilding guitars sent in by fans of the show. I'll be rebuilding 14 guitars over 14 weeks, each with a unique and interesting backstory. I'll be refinishing, refretting, rewiring, whatever it takes to make these things into the guitars of their dreams. This is Trash to Thrash. Hello everybody and welcome back to Trash to Thrash, Season 2, Episode 1. I'm your host Mark Murray, and I specialize in buying old beat-up guitars and rebuilding them, turning them into killer shred machines. Today I'm going to be looking for a couple new projects to start, and I'll begin by looking in my regular places I always search: eBay, Reverb, and Craigslist. There's a ton of other awesome places you can find guitars at a great deal: garage sales, swap meets, pawn shops. If you let people know that you're looking for used gear, you'd be surprised how many people have an old guitar in their closet that they'll pull out and sell you for 40 or 50 bucks too. I've also used Facebook Marketplace and apps like Let Go and local selling apps to find great deals on gear. I'm always on the search for new gear, looking for Jacksons, LTDs, Explorers, Wolfgangs, anything I can find that's beat up that I can fix into something awesome. So today we're going to be looking for a specific Jackson Rhodes for my customer Marcel. He said he wants the guitar to have a Floyd Rose bridge and have the electronics routed through the back of the guitar so there's no pickguard on the front. He also said that he'd love it to have 24 frets, shark fin inlays, and if he could, set neck or neck through construction, but if all other requirements are met, he'll take a bolt-on. I know there's a few different models that'll work for this, so I've been looking around for a few different guitars out there, but I think I found the one today. It's a Jackson RR-XMG Rhodes. It's a great guitar with a basswood body, maple neck. It's got a rear routing, it's got 24 frets, shark fin inlays. I mean, this thing is almost perfect. With a little bit of modification, it will be perfect. A lot of times when I'm buying on eBay or Reverb, I'll check out the seller store and see if they have any other items I might want to buy. If you put together a bundle deal and give them a lower price, they might take 50 or 100 bucks off each item. And if you're willing to invest in a few guitars at once, you might save yourself a couple $100 right there. As I was searching this guy's page, I found another guitar that I really wanted. It was an Epiphone Explorer Gothic. The Epiphone Explorer Gothic is based on the original Gibson Explorer from 1958, but they came completely blacked out. Matte black finish, black pickguard, all black hardware, and they were awesome. They made Gothic Explorers, Vs, Les Pauls, and SGs. At first they started with Gibsons, but later expanded the line to include Epiphones, and some of the Epiphone models even had Floyd Rose bridges, which was awesome because you don't really get that a lot on Gibson and Epiphone guitars. I've always loved the Gibson Gothic series ever since it came out around the year 2000. A couple of my friends had some of them, and I thought they were so cool. At the time, it was the closest thing you can get to a James Hetfield guitar because they weren't making the 1984 Epiphone Explorers like these, and the LTDs were really hard to find. And of course, the ESPs were super expensive. After searching through the seller's whole store, I found the Rhodes that I really liked, I found that Explorer that I really liked, and I even found a set of tuners and a bridge that'll work perfect for the Explorer. So I bundled up all those items, I sent him an offer, he came back at me with a counter, and I accepted it. Most of the time when I get a new guitar in, I'll throw it up on my Instagram stories and let my audience see it. I'll tell them it's available if anybody wants me to customize this for you, reserve it now, and it's yours. Right when I posted this one up on my Instagram story, someone messaged me and wanted to buy it. He wanted me to build him a Hetfield Rusty, which is a guitar James Hetfield used during the St. Anger era. James Hetfield's Rusty Explorer is a Gibson Explorer with mahogany body and neck, matte black finish, and a rusted out pickguard. It's got EMG 81 and 60 pickups and a tune-o-matic bridge. So we're gonna do pretty much the exact same thing, but on the Epiphone Gothic. Hey guys, I want to take a moment real quick to tell you about my friends at Iron Age Guitar Accessories. They make awesome stuff, knobs, guitar picks, and my favorite, kill switches. I know a lot of you guys are like, this guy talks about kill switches on every episode, but it's because I put a kill switch on basically every guitar I have. I love kill switches because as a lead guitarist, I'm always looking for a new way to add something special to my playing. You know, we have harmonics and chorus and flanger and all these cool different effects and techniques we can use. But the kill switch is one not a lot of people use, and it adds a really cool percussive dynamic to your playing. Let me show you. Now go get yourself a kill switch, enter GG-10 at checkout, and you get 10% off. Links down in the description below. The Gothic Explorer has arrived and it's in my hands. Everything looks good on it, so at the monthly production meeting I have with my assistant Ryan, I'm going to show it to him and give him the game plan.
That's a cool Explorer.
So this is the Epiphone Gothic Explorer. This guitar is going to Ethan. We're going to do a replica of James Hetfield's Rusty Explorer. That's what it's going to look like.
Oh, wow.
We're going to actually remove the pickguard and the switch that's up here. We're going to relocate down here. There's a little channel that runs across here for the wiring for the switch, and we don't need to fill it in because we're going to put another pickguard on it. That's where I'll need you to come into play and build me, a nice rusty pickguard like that.
Awesome. Might
even throw a clear coat over the rust afterwards because I wouldn't want to have a guitar with like a really rough surface. I feel like that would be abrasive when you're playing. Your finger hits it, it just would be annoying.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll throw a really thick clear coat over that. Yeah, that rusty pickguard, EMGs.
That's going to be sweet.
Yeah, this is going to be a really cool one.
Now that the game plan's in place, Ryan will disassemble the guitar and bring it outside and sand it down. Whenever we disassemble a guitar, we always take all the parts and put them into one bag and label it with the guitar's name. Even the parts that we know aren't going to go back on the guitar, we always put into the bag just for reference and just in case we need to check something on it later. Now that this guitar is completely stripped down, we can bring it outside to the sanding area. It's important to have multiple workspaces set up because where you sand a guitar is not where you want to assemble a guitar. And where you do your final polishing is not where you want to do your wiring. Where you sand a guitar leaves all kinds of particles and dust around, and where you polish a guitar, you have a ton of residue. Plus, when it comes to assembly and wiring, you have a completely set of different tools, depending on what job you're doing. So it's nice to have your tools where you need them for specific jobs. For example, all your files and all your fretwork stuff over on one table. Then you can have all your wire, your heat shrink, and your soldering tools over on another table. Most of the time when we refinish a guitar here, we just sand it down using 600 grit sandpaper and a palm sander like shown here. You don't need to bring it down to bare wood, and you kind of don't want to because when you bring it down to bare wood, you're going to need to reprime it and then repaint it. Paint doesn't like to stick to wood. Paint likes to stick to primer or paint that's been scuffed up. The reason you want to scuff it up is so that it'll create a mechanical bond because paint doesn't like to stick to a smooth surface. If you just try to paint over a finished guitar, the paint's going to scratch right off. But if you scuff it up with 600 grit sandpaper, it's going to create a surface that paint's going to really love to stick to. That is, as long as the original paint was adhered to the guitar well. If the original paint is flaking or chipping off, the new paint will go right over it and stick to it, but underneath, the old paint's just going to flake right off, taking the new paint with it. I filled a couple chips and dings in the guitar, and then brought it into the paint booth. I laid down 3 coats of matte black, and then 3 coats of matte clear. Even though it's a matte paint job, you still need a clear coat on it. Paint is made of mostly pigment, whereas a clear coat is made specifically to protect a finish. You'll notice when you buy clear coat, there's different sheens. You could buy high gloss, semi-gloss, or even a matte clear coat. This paint job turned out killer, so let's go check in on Ryan and see how that pickguard is coming along. For Rusty's pickguard, we're using 1/8" steel. Ryan traced around the old pickguard, using it as a template for the new pickguard we're making. Then he clamped a straight edge to it and used a die grinder to cut it out. Now that he's got the basic shape cut out, he'll bring it over to his belt sander. Here he refined the shape and started to break down some of the edges. Next, to really soften the edges, he got out his file and cleaned everything up. He does everything old school like a true craftsman. That's why I love this guy's work. When he finished it all up, he handed it back to me, and I tried a few different methods to rust the pickguard. The first method I tried was the natural way, spraying it with water and leaving it outside for a couple days. I didn't really love the results of this method. It was really uneven and the coloring wasn't very even either. So I sanded it back down for attempt number 2, dabbing it with a sponge and paint, which was a complete fail. So I sanded that off, and attempt number 3 was to blend some spray paint back and forth using black and then some copper colors. Again, this was an absolute fail, so I sanded that off too. For my next attempt, I went to YouTube to see if anyone had any expertise on how to rust things up quickly. And I found a great video by Mr. DIY Dork, who teaches you how to make a solution he calls Rusty 3000. I cut his measurements in half, so what I used was 8 ounces of hydrogen peroxide, 1 ounce of white vinegar, and a 1/4 tablespoon of salt. I mixed all that together in a spray bottle and labeled it Rusty 3000, just like Mr. DIY Dork does. I'll link to his original video down in the description below. Always remember to label your bottles. Over time in your shop, you're going to end up with a lot of different squirt bottles with all kinds of solutions in them, and you always want to make sure that everybody knows what's inside them. Here I'm using a squirt bottle with pure vinegar in it. That's going to prep the surface and also clean everything really good. I sprayed down the pickguard 3 times about 5 minutes apart to prep it. Then I sprayed it down with the Rusty 3000, and within seconds, the rust started to show up. I left it to do its thing for about an hour, and all the solvents kind of dried off it, and this is what we ended up with. Really uniform, awesome red, rusty color. It got kind of thick in a couple spots, which looks pretty cool, and it added a little texture to it. But I touched it in a couple spots, and it was kind of loose on top. If I were to wipe it down, it would have removed a lot of the rust, because it's not a true rust, it's just right on the surface. So I sprayed a few coats of lacquer clear coat onto it, and it came out really good. It felt really durable and nice, but pretty uneven. So to give it a little more leveling, I gave it some sanding, just like I would do after spraying clear coat on the guitar body. I didn't go as heavy with the sanding, because with a guitar you want a real mirror-like finish, and with this, I thought it was cool that it had a little bit of the rust texture to it, but without having the weird raw feeling of rust. Then I gave it a nice polishing using Meguiar's 105 and 205 combo. This removed the scratches left by the sandpaper and left a nice shine to it. You can see how rough the texture is down here on the bottom, which I haven't leveled yet, versus up here where I've leveled and polished. There's still some texture, but it's not as abrasive as down here. It's more like a smooth rock finish now. Do you want to win one of the guitars I built on the show? Every month I'm giving away another one of the custom guitars I built on this show. The only surefire way to be entered into this raffle is to sign up to the CEO tier of my Patreon page. Every month I download the list of patrons and do a random number drawing to give away one of the awesome guitars I built here on the show. Last month, Robert won the White Reaper. This insane 1985 Ibanez Proline 1660V. And this month I'm going to be giving away this totally radical 1994 Jackson Rhodes concept. This guitar features black chrome EMG 5766 pickups, matching locking Goto tuners, a custom clear pickguard, and a purple Tessie kill switch. Not to mention the totally insane purple and teal paint job on it. And next month I'm going to be raffling off a totally insane Jackson Kelly. So for your chance to win and be entered automatically into a raffle every single month to win one of these guitars, go sign up to the CEO tier of my Patreon page. The links are in the description below. Now that the pickguard is complete, it's time to fit it on the guitar and see how it looks. The holes line up perfect, and man, that looks insane. Now I'll start wiring up, assembling, and working on the fretboard of the guitar. The fretboard's pretty dry, and the frets look pretty dirty, so I'm going to use this fret guard and just go down the fretboard, using some steel wool to clean off the frets. These frets were still in great shape, and after being cleaned, they look beautiful. Nice and shiny. Now the fretboard definitely needs some oil, so I put some lemon oil on it and let that soak in for a couple hours, and then just wiped off the excess. Electronics wise on this guitar, we're going to be going with the EMG 8160 set, which is the classic James Hetfield pickups. Shown here is the EMG wiring kit with the potentiometers, the output jack, and the wiring bus. First things first, before mounting the pickups, you want to run the cables for the pickups, which are going to go underneath the pickups and through the cavities of the guitar. Earlier, when Ryan and I were breaking down this guitar, I mentioned that underneath the pickguard is a channel. Originally, this channel was put there so you could run the cables for the pickup selector switch, which is normally mounted to the pickguard. But we moved the selector switch down to control position 1. So now I'm going to use this channel here to run the wires for the battery that's going to power the EMG pickups. I put some foam down beneath the wires and above the wires so that the wires aren't going to move around and hit on the inside of the guitar. I ran the foam up and down the length of the control cavity, then mounted the pickguard and mounted the pickups. Now I turn my attention to the headstock for a moment to mount the tuners and the truss rod cover. I'll probably remove the truss rod cover to make an adjustment when I set the guitar up, but for now I want to see what it's going to look like, and man, this looks killer. There's something about matte black with gloss black that just looks so good together. Then I strung it up with some 1046 regular slinkies by Ernie Ball and intonated the guitar. Now cosmetically, it's basically complete. Look at this thing, this is beautiful. Going into this, I wasn't a giant Rusty fan, but now after seeing it in person, this thing is just stunning. It's definitely a guitar I would love to have in my collection. The final step for this thing is just to finish wiring it up, EMG makes it really easy because they come with a wiring bus that everything plugs into, and it's real simple. It's basically a solderless system. I had to solder a little bit for my selector switch, but it was only 4 solder joints, and you could even buy a really cheap soldering iron online and do those 4 points yourself. All in all, I highly recommend if anybody's looking for a real easy mod and pickup upgrade to check out EMG because they come with a real easy to use system. As you can see in the control cavity, there really isn't any extra space, so I'm lucky that I had the space under the pickguard to use for the 9-volt battery. Alright, behold, Rusty. This thing turned out awesome. I would love to keep it, but I can't. This is for Ethan. The matte black with the rusty pickguard just looks insane. I love it. This guitar was from the St. Anger era of Metallica, but I think it fits all the eras of Metallica, and now it's time to plug it in and see how it sounds. This thing's a beast. It definitely nails that James Hetfield tone. Explorers with their giant mahogany bodies, especially when paired with EMGs, just create monster tone.
This episode of Trash to Thrash is sponsored by SoCal Pedal Boards. I love SoCal Pedal Boards. I've been using them for years. Actually, SoCal Pedal Boards was one of my first partnerships when I started Guitar Guts, and they've been sending me pedal boards that I've been using for years. I love them. The quality is excellent. They're hand-built pedal boards made out of wood. He's got a lot of great features like rubber feet, a built-in handle, holes in the side for routing your cables. So go check out SoCal Pedal Boards. I'll put the links down in the description below. Great company. Everything's hand-built right out of Southern California, real close to where I'm located. All right, so what'd you guys think of Rusty? I love the way it turned out. Leave your comments down below. Let me know how you guys liked Rusty. And let me know in the comments, what's your favorite Metallica album? I'm a huge Metallica fan. I'm not a huge fan of St. Anger, to be honest. I don't really ever listen to it, but I love Metallica. They're one of the reasons I started playing guitar in the first place. I love everything from Kill 'Em All, Load, Reload, Black Album, of course all the Master Puppets, Ride the Lightning, and Justice for All. But I love it all, so leave your comments down below. I'm curious to know what your guys' favorite Metallica album is. Thanks so much to my sponsors of this episode as well, SoCal Pedal Boards and Iron Age Guitar Accessories. I have their information down in the description below and links to their websites. Do you guys want your guitar customized by me, or do you want to order a custom guitar through me? If you do, my information is down in the description below, mark@guitarguts.com. You can send me an email and we'll talk about a custom guitar for you. Also follow me on Instagram @GuitarGuts if you want more content from me. And be sure to tune in next week because I'm going to start working on that Jackson Rhodes that I bought at the beginning of this episode. And it's going to be a tribute to Alexi Leo. So be sure to come back next Thursday, same time and place on this channel. And also next Sunday, I do another guitar show on this channel every Sunday called the Sunday Morning Shred, where I answer your guys' questions and play videos of your guys' customized guitars. I go over old guitar magazines. I do a lot of really fun guitar-related stuff over there. Every Sunday, right when you wake up, it's already there waiting for you. You grab your cup of coffee and come watch. So if you have any questions you want answered, leave them in the comments below, and I'll come gather up all the questions from the comments and answer them over on the Sunday Morning Shred. If you want to show off your custom guitar on that show or your modified guitar, make a video a couple minutes long of you showing the guitar. Tell me the story about it. Tell me how you got it, what inspired this guitar, and then send it to me, mark@guitarguts.com, and I'll play the guitar on the show. I love playing your guys' guitar videos on there and showing people your guys' creations, so send them on in to me. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Remember to go sign up to the CEO tier of my Patreon page. There's a link down below, and you'll be automatically entered into a monthly raffle to win one of the custom guitars that I built on this show. Also go to guitarguts.com to get your Guitar Guts Kill Boost pedal, the Guitar Guts Kill Switch, and remember you can find this show at guitarguts.tv. Go tell your friends about it, help spread the word. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much, guys. Rock on, my friends.